Hi, I'm Dave Santulli, president and founder of United Planet, and I'm here today with Graziella Fusaro, who is the assistant provost for innovation at Adelphi University. Graziella, it's wonderful to be here with you, and we appreciate your partnership so much.
Thank you, David. My pleasure.
Yeah, well, I'd love to start off and ask you a little bit about the work you do and your vision and mission for innovation at Adelphi.
Sure, perfectly. So the Innovation Center was actually founded about 2 years ago. I came to Adelphi to launch the Innovation Center at the end of January 2020. And a couple of weeks later, we immediately switched to remote mode because of COVID, like I think everyone else. But it actually didn't stop us, and we're able to develop a number of programs to support students and faculty. Our goal is actually to design and implement engaged learning opportunities that will help the students to understand some of the concepts that they learn in the classroom and make it more tangible on how they would apply that in the real world. We serve all the schools at Adelphi, like from nursing to business to social work to liberal arts. So the scope of our work is very diverse, but the core is really on experiential learning and, again, making it that, providing that bridge between what is taught in the classroom and what is required from corporations, nonprofits, and government agencies all over the world.
That's tremendous. Really, really fantastic. Could you share a little bit about some of the work that we've done together and give some examples and share about how that might have helped you achieve some of your goals at Adelphi?
Absolutely. So with United Planet, we partnered to implement some of the concepts that we called live classes. So live classes are classes where I, as the Innovation Center, I work with the faculty to build off the content that's already being taught in a classroom and provide a real life project where the students will take that concept that's being taught in that classroom and work with an external partner applying some parts or all of that in a given project throughout the semester. So we partner with United Planet on projects that are outside the United States. So I'm going to give you an example. So we did one class that was really interesting, which is the Spanish cross-cultural class. So United Planet identified some NPOs in Costa Rica that needed some students to work in awareness campaigns about their causes. One of the interesting points about that particular partnership that we did with United Planet is that usually students that come to a Spanish language cross-cultural, they come from all different majors. So we have, students that are biology majors and are in that class. We have students that are nursing majors or business majors. So it's really a combination of different backgrounds in that class. And what United Planet did is, like David and his team, they were able to partner with different NPOs. So we had NPOs that, worked with environmental issues, with health issues, with youth education in Costa Rica. And our students actually use the concepts of, again, a different culture, a Spanish culture. And of course, the Spanish itself, since this was a Spanish course, to build awareness campaigns for that NPO, so and nonprofit. So it was really a direct application of something, and they learn the cultural awareness and the language by doing the project. So it was a great partnership. And again, United Planet was key to facilitate the coordination with all the NPOs in that class.
That's fantastic. And the students have been really helpful. I know students had also worked with organizations as far away as Zanzibar and done some really nice projects with them. If you'd like to share a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, that was another project that we did. It's called our Levermore Global Program. So that's a global program. Similarly, we have students that are come from different backgrounds and decide to take that global track. Adelphi has one of the characters of our universities is that we are a university very focused on nonprofits and giving back to the community. And that's very aligned with the mission of United Planet also. So in Zanzibar, we plan, United Planet partner with an organization that helps youth education. So youth engagement through their whatever, like affiliating with something similar than the Social Security in the United States and educating the population. And this group of students in our global more class worked with United Planet again to create marketing materials, awareness videos, awareness campaign, and of course expanded their understanding about global issues and some issues that may be very transparent in the United States, like civic engagement. Maybe there was an extra step that was needed educating the youth population in Zanzibar about the importance of civic engagement. So again, another example of learning by doing. One of the things that I actually really like also about having the partnership with United Planet is before we dive into the concepts of the actual project, we always have someone from United Planet that will come in and give a global overview about the issues in that country, what are maybe some of the problems that they're facing, but also some of the culture in that country, even like some of the geography, history. So students have a more comprehensive view of that particular location or history and culture and everything before they dive into the project itself. So again, it's a very structured program, and I think our students and faculty enjoy also having that structure in the class.
That's really great. And in terms of the student learning outcomes and benefits for students and faculty, what are your thoughts? How does this really impact the students and faculty?
Perfect. So let's talk about first the faculty. I think the students is very transparent, as I said, is giving them experiential learning. But from a faculty standpoint, I feel that every university today is really focusing on transforming curriculum and making it more relevant for today's topic. So maybe teaching out of a book that was written 30 years ago, or even case studies is important because history is important, but we need to add that component of the changes that are happening in the real world. So sometimes we ask that for faculty, but we need to give them the tools to make that feasible for them to update the curriculum. So when we have a partnership with United Planet, it gives them a pathway of how to make that change in their curriculum and having the support needed throughout the project. So I see that a lot, like we've done over the last 2 years. Actually, yesterday, I just did a spreadsheet consolidating our projects. We've done 74 projects, 74 live classes in 2 years. So again, it is a lot of live classes per semester. So we have different partnerships, but exclusive with United Planet, I feel it gives a lot of structure to the faculty, right? Because like when you're dealing with an outside company, you have to be prepared for the unknown. So, a company may cancel a section in the middle of the school year, or someone may not be available to do a Zoom call with the students or to answer a question in the time frame that's expected for the class. So having United Planet supporting that, it helps to reduce that uncertainty. I just had an example yesterday. I think we're doing a Spanish class together also. It's a different one. Is it Spanish for health professions? And one of the NPOs that we are working with canceled the presentation. And at this immediately, one person from United Planet connected with the faculty. I was copied in an email substituting by another NPO that would help with that class. So again, it reduces a little bit the uncertainty from the faculty standpoint and provides that pathway to implementing something new to the curriculum that is out of their control, right? Because when you're teaching out of the book or out of a case, it's completely 100% under your control. When you put an external partner, it's not anymore. And it's part of, again, what the students should expect in life, right? They need to expect to be able to respond fast to changes in the environment. So United Planet makes that helpful. And from a student standpoint, I think it's really, again, there is this, let's put it divided between the analytical component and the social component, and emotional skills and analytical skills. So from an analytical skill set, independent of what it is, the class, if it's civic engagement or, as I said, health, or it's a direct application of what they are learning in the class. Like my job as, assistant provost is actually to try to find a project that matches the learning outcomes of the class. So they will have so that's a given, right? The analytical application is a given. A project will only exist if it matches the learning outcome of that class. But then there is also what we say the soft skill set, that is the ability maybe to relate to someone that's not a faculty member and nor another student, but it's actually, again, an external partner. So the way that you communicate and the way that you provide feedback, the way that you receive maybe a criticism. So it requires some professional development that's going to be required for them by the time they interview for a job in the near future. So we're building in that social and emotional skill set in the class when we force them to collaborate with someone else that's not in their comfort zone from a student standpoint and faculty standpoint.
No, that's really tremendous, and creating that bridge to the real world and allowing students to collaborate across cultures and borders. What are some of the challenges in integrating experiential learning and these types of opportunities into the classroom, and what advice might you share with other universities or faculty interested in integrating experiential learning into their classes?
So I feel like there's a couple of challenges. Scalability is one. So we do feel sometimes in schools, experiential learning is very sometimes driven by faculty willingness to be relevant, and each faculty individually does that in their classroom without a central collaboration. And of course, that's not scalable. Like we wouldn't be able to have 75 different projects in 75 classes if we didn't have a somewhat area like the Innovation Center focus on, finding partners, writing contracts, signing NDAs and things like that. So I think it's important to have a central location that's scalable, but also to develop partnerships like we have with the United Planet, and we have like a couple of other partnerships in other areas. It would be really difficult for me and my team just by ourselves to source programs for all the universities, right? Sometimes you develop relationships with companies that are, more projects that are more towards business or in the United States, but to have relationships that covers all the university in all the different majors and in every country, if we're talking about international product, then you really need to build those partnerships to be able to scale up and serve all the students. So that would be one. A second one is really to find those faculty champions to start the program and get it rolling. Starting is really difficult. Like I've done that in 2 institutions in higher ed. Of course, there are some faculty that are very traditional and, that sometimes they've been teaching the same way for 20 years and they're not willing to change. And there are others that they're teaching for 20 years and they are so secure of the subject that they teach that they are willing to open up to new experiences. So I do feel that finding those faculty champions that are really willing to go a little bit outside of the box and give almost a leap of faith and trusting that someone that's coming from the outside will add value to the classroom and is open to deal with a little bit of uncertainty, not having control with all the facts, which actually teaches the student also, right? Teaches the students how to respond to uncertainty, which is pretty much how life is every day. So I think, like, again, finding the right faculty and then scaling up after that is really important.
Well, that's excellent advice based on a lot of experience. So thank you for sharing that. I know you're very innovative and creative and visionary. When you look ahead at the changes within higher education, what areas do you see as being the areas of highest potential for development in higher education, maybe with the integration of experiential learning or beyond? Just to hear, any reflections that you might have on that topic as we all look ahead. We know a lot of innovation has come out through the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I think there's a couple. So in experiential learning and, all of that, and, startup centers, innovation centers, they exist for, quite a while. What happens in most institutions is that we end up focusing on supporting the overachievers. Usually when innovation is not building to the curriculum, experiential learning is not building to the curriculum. The people that come and want to get engaged with that are the overachievers, the people that are looking for something more that they can do and complement their education. And if you think that's actually, those people actually don't need help, those students will be successful anyways because they are the overachievers. So the students that we really need to help are the students that will not do anything beyond what's required for them in the class, right? And that sometimes it's not because they don't want to. Maybe they have 3 jobs that will help them to pay for college, and they have to focus that outside of the class, so they don't have time for any extracurricular activity. Maybe the job, it's like in a restaurant or food chain, is not related to what they want to pursue at all. So how can we expect them to have internships and experiences if they literally don't have time? Education is very expensive. Sometimes they have to, work at McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts just to pay the tuition bill and help at home. So in order to be able to bring all that innovation to that student, which is the majority of our students, at least at Adelphi, we really need to build that into the curriculum. So it's a curricular transformation where innovation and experiential learning is not an elective or is not an extracurricular, but becomes a requirement in every single major. So it takes a little time. Of course, we have to approve with the state every time that we change curriculum, but of course, we're also building new majors and minors every day. So we have to start designing those, thinking about how important it is to put those experiences as a requirement for credit class in the curriculum. If we wanna, again, touch upon that pool of students that is really the ones who need to be exposed. So that's one of the things that we're actually really working at Adelphi, making sure that this is part of every single curricular activity. Another one is also, again, we live in a world that's very data-driven, and some of our majors just naturally, right, business data analytics, they deal with a lot of data and it's part of their education, but others, not so much. So we're trying to bring a little bit of like data understanding. Nobody needs to be a programmer or anything like that, but understand how data is changing every industry and bringing that into also the curriculum. So I'm going to give an example what we're doing at the Innovation Center. We're using, for example, teaching our political science students how to use data to understand what is the behavior sentiment in social media posts. So we're literally like, using a software that they run through social media and then, helps them analyze, if people are more for one statement or against, if they're sad, or if it brings, what is the sentiment behind, like a big set of data. And in nursing, we are designing a data science program with nursing, where again, we are using data to help them predict what can be the possible outcomes if a patient, is showing symptoms of this and this and that. So again, like we can talk across the board, but that's some of the innovation, some of the curricular innovation is actually to try to infuse a little bit more of data understanding, not data programming. It's more like data understanding in every single major.
That's outstanding advice, and I think will be really helpful for many people out there. It's incredible the work that you're doing and the innovation that you're bringing to all the students at Adelphi. As you know, our mission here is to build a united planet, and I know how innovative you are. I'd like to ask, what are 3 things that you think we could do or universities could do to help build a more sustainable, peaceful, and united planet?
Well, I think that's very appropriate question given where we are like this month, right? Of course, like I think one which is very basic, and I think every university is trying to combat it somehow with, all the diversity and inclusion movements, which is like combat prejudice in every single form that it exists, right? I'm Brazilian, so I come from a place where I do think we have very little prejudice because we're such a melting pot of people from different locations. So I would love to, have our education institutions, not only like the university itself, but institutions like United Planet, and everyone helps educating our students to help to reduce a little bit the prejudice against everything. We're not talking only about prejudice against, race or religion. It's pretty much everything. So I think that's a way that we can help to build a better planet, a more united planet. Another one is really education about what's to be a global citizen, especially, usually people, United States is such a great country, good to live. It's a big, it's continental size. Sometimes it makes it, the people who are like always were born in the United States and always like only had connection to the United States. Sometimes they focus all their attention to issues that are like happening in the United States. So I think we can also help to educate them that as a global citizen, we need to be aware of our global impact and how can we help and contribute and learn also from, other communities, other countries, other parts of the world. So building a global citizen, I do feel it's another thing that United Planet can help a lot. One of the things that I actually want to see if it's possible now that we are going back to where we were pre-pandemic is into the classes that we are running, the live classes with the NPOs that we have with United Planet, if we can open an opportunity for the students to continue their learning by doing internships at those locations after they've taken a class and help that NPO. So I think that would be great if they could go in person to complete their experience.
No, that's definitely possible, and I'm so appreciative for you're taking the time today and sharing your advice and experience, and wish you all the best with the great work you're doing, and look forward to continuing to work together and build these bridges to real world experiences and help develop students as global citizen leaders and beyond. So thank you so much, Graziella. Keep up the great work.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure working with you, David.